To create a Turnitin assignment, you'll want to go to the Assignments section of your course, and then from here, go to Assessments and choose Turnitin Assignment. From here, you'll have a few options. Right now, we're just going to look at creating a basic paper assignment as opposed to a peer review assignment or a revision assignment, which allows you to create a paper assignment and then have students resubmit later. Clicking here will kind of give you an overview of what each of these do. But right now, we're just going to create a paper assignment. I'm going to click on Next Step. So from here, you'll give your assignment a title, and so this we'll call Module 1 Paper, and you'll give it a point value. And so this point value is going to go directly into the Blackboard gradebook. So let's say this is worth 100 points. So as you grade the assignment in Turnitin, the grade will be sent to the Blackboard gradebook. And you'll want to probably only allow file types that Turnitin can check for originality. If you do have other file types, so you know, like AutoCAD, stuff like that, file types that can't be checked, you still could allow people to upload those, but then you wouldn't really be using the Turnitin features. So I would recommend you stick with those file types that Turnitin can check for originality. So that's going to be your Word docs, PDFs, PowerPoints, stuff with text. You'll want to choose a start date and a due date, and then a post date. So the post date is, as it shows, the date and time students can begin viewing comments and grades instructors have left on their papers. So you may make that the same as the due date. That's up to you. You would want to pick a start date that is the earliest that you think students will submit assignments. So let's just say we want this to be today, about right now. Due date, we're going to say is next week. Post date, let's just make this next week. Same day as well. So it's also important to note, as it says, that if you actually choose to add a point value and that goes to Blackboard, that's going to show up as soon as you grade it, no matter what. So you have some optional settings here, so you can add special instructions, you can allow submissions after the due date, you can actually choose to turn off originality reports if you want, and you have other options here. So you can choose to generate the originality report immediately, so this will, as it says, overwrite reports until due date. You can generate that report on the due date or immediately, which is to say that the first report is final. So this wouldn't allow students to resubmit. If you want to allow students to submit their assignment and then look at the originality report and resubmit so that they can, you know, if they see something wrong, you would allow them to fix it, then you would want to do immediately can overwrite reports until due date. Otherwise, you would choose immediately first report is final if you want them to see it immediately, or if you just, you know, after the assignment is due, then they can see it, then you could choose on due date. You can choose to exclude bibliographic materials. All of these, you actually, once you're looking at the report, you can decide later to, okay, what happens if I exclude quoted materials? What happens if I exclude small matches? So this is just for the default view as you're looking at your entire class to see the results for your entire class. You'll want to decide whether you want students to see the originality reports or not if you are using this as a teaching tool. So if you want them to be able to see the originality report and then revise, you would say yes. If you don't want them to see it, then you would say no. You can choose when to reveal grades. This is another interesting option too. You can choose to submit papers to institution paper repository or no repository. So what that means is by default, students who submit papers, once it checks that paper, it's going to put that paper into a repository. And so the benefit of that is that, you know, if a student is taking your course one semester, that paper will go into the repository. So if the student passes on the paper to students in the later semesters, then and you know, the student in the next semester tries to recycle a paper, it'll show up as having been submitted before. So some professors do actually turn this off. for matters of student privacy. That's sort of up to you how you want to structure the submission. And you can choose which options get searched. So if you don't want to search your students' papers against the student paper repository, you can turn that off. Or the institution paper repository, and just the general internet or periodicals, journals, and publications. So that's up to you. You can grade with a rubric, and you can create a rubric in Turnitin, and that'll make your life a little easier when you're grading if you like grading with rubrics. Otherwise, there's no need to create a rubric. You can just leave this as is. E-Rater is a new feature that enables Turnitin to check grammar of your students' papers. So if you want that to be highlighted, you can say yes, otherwise say no. And if you are using E-Rater, you can select a handbook. So that's how, and then you click submit. So that's how you would create that assignment. And I'm going to click OK. And so you'll see that it creates this Turnitin assignment in your course.